Hello, everybody. I'm Nancy Groves, Head of Life at HuffPost UK, and welcome to this, the final debate of how the light gets in 2020. Up for debate today, sexuality, power, and porn. Critics of porn have long argued that it is organised by men, for men, with women as the exploited puppets of the show. But now, supporters argue, a raft of women directors are making porn for women. And with more than a third of women accessing porn every week, making up 30% of all those who view pornography, perhaps a new audience is here. Should we see this as an extension of an already dangerous industry that turns human beings into products and users into addicts? Or is it time to celebrate the liberation of female desire and escape from a centuries-old vision of female sexuality? This is a pertinent debate to be having in this moment when numbers suggest that more people than ever are accessing porn in lockdown, even if our varying arrangements domestically and, shall we say, instincts mean that access ranges between us all. And we have four fantastic speakers with us to debate the issues today. Can I introduce, first up, Victoria Brooks, a writer and academic whose research interests include sex and its relationships to identity, femininity, philosophy, and law. She is the author of Fucking Law, The Search for Her Sexual Ethics, one of the best named books we have in Blackwell's during this festival. We have also here Sally Phillips, an actor and comedian, best known for her starring roles in the award-winning sketch comedy series Smack the Pony, as well as Miranda and the Bridget Jones trilogy. Former Labour Party parliamentary candidate Peter Tatchell, a lifelong human rights activist and a key figure in Outrage, an LGBT+ rights group where he has been involved in a wide array of protests and activism. And finally, welcome to Kate Devlin, who is a sex robot theorist and computer scientist, senior lecturer at King's College London, and the author of Turned On, Science, Sex, and Robots. Is the rise of female-generated porn a win for feminism? Could I start possibly with you, Victoria, on this one?
Yes, thank you very much. So I would say yes, female-led porn is a win for feminism. This is because it means that porn by women for women means that real women's desire is reflected and at last represented on screen, which has to be a win for feminism. Women will now have an increasing choice about watching porn without having to choose either between not watching it at all or to watch porn catering to conventional heterosexual male desire, which may either be harmful to them or at least is not catering to their ways of desiring. So more women-led porn means, in my opinion, sexier porn. Women have an opportunity to watch their desires being played out on screen, which is a chance to explore and experiment with sexuality, either solo or with partners. And this is an opportunity that was not there before, or maybe it was, but not in such a free way, given porn's very limited heterosexual scripts, which means it places women's desire at the centre of pornography. Hopefully the representation of queer makers of porn or queer women pornographers is on the rise as well, alongside women-led porn, meaning that queer and diverse bodies and bodies of colour are going to be increasingly represented in pornography. And hopefully the vast array of sexualities and sexual desires that women have too. Although I've got to say that this needs to continue to develop and to grow for this to be a true win for feminism.
That sounds like quite a lot of good news already to celebrate. So I sort of turn to Sally and say, is this cause for celebration? Particularly, is this cause for feminist celebration?
Well, I mean, it's all very compelling, and this is how the light gets in festivals. So, of course, the answer is almost a rhetorical question here: is it a win for feminism? But I just, as you know, my job on the panel is to be the Mary Whitehouse of the group. I would just urge caution, because I would say that I'm just going to give you some gender gaps and facts, okay? About women represented in the media, like why is it growing so much faster for pornography than in other areas? Okay, I would say that yes, women's desire being freely represented is good, and that would be an outworking of women having more equality. However, when it's not represented in other areas, I wonder why it is that we're being allowed to grow here and not in other areas of the media. So if I just give you some stats. Only 26% of subjects and sources in internet and tweets in the news are women. Only 13% of news stories from conflict areas involve women. 16% of political reporters are women. 4% of political analysts on previous US elections were women of colour. Only 14% of A1 lead photos are by women, and that was a stat from Le Monde. 71% of all front page stories are written by men. 8% of USA print newsroom staff are women of colour. 70% of acts of intimidation, threats or abuse happen at work. 1 in every 2 journalists have suffered sexual harassment, psychological abuse and online trolling. Only 23% of spokespeople used are women. Only 14% of Indian TV news panels are women. Only 19% of experts used are women. 17% gender pay gap in the EU in the media. Only 29% of middle management positions in the media are held by women. 6 of the 100 largest global media core have women CEOs. 80% of boards are men at the top 100 media corporations. So
perhaps there are more urgent fights. Well, not just that, but we should ask questions about porn.
I would say it's interesting. I just say it's interesting that we're being allowed to do this. I wonder if there's a kind of containment, and because I wonder if there's a keeping us down by allowing this but not other areas. I think that it's false, really. I think it's a mirage of freedom.
Okay, I might turn to Peter at that point, and then Sally, thank you so much for that and for those statistics. Porn and feminism, can we talk even in context of wins here? Is there a more urgent fight?
Well, my starting point is that there's nothing wrong with the naked human body and our genitals. There's also nothing wrong with sex. It's natural and healthy. And if you accept those premises, then surely there could be nothing wrong with visual depictions, nudity and sex, providing, of course, it involves adults and is genuinely consensual. However, of course, we do have to acknowledge that much of the porn industry is degrading and humiliating to women. And that is so wrong. I oppose that, just as I oppose the traffic and coercion of some women in the porn industry. We've got to end that. We've got to give those women a way out. But these abuses, and they are real, doesn't mean that all porn is ipso facto automatically and always abusive. As we've heard, feminist porn by and for women is an attempt to show that porn doesn't have to be abusive and misogynistic. I think it's also worth pointing out that sadly, not everyone has a partner. And singletons also have a right to sexual fulfillment. And one of the great things about porn, when it's genuinely consensual between adults and is not humiliating or degrading, is that it can give everyone equal access to sexual happiness, regardless of their age, their looks, their ability or disability, their location. So it can be, in some circumstances, a great leveler. And I think of people perhaps who live in isolated rural communities who don't have opportunities for sexual outlets or relationships. For them, porn can be the only way that they have sexual fulfillment.
And maybe at times like this in lockdown, also, these issues kind of rise to the surface, and we'll definitely come back to that. So is this about the fact that it's female-generated porn that's the good thing, Kate? What's your sort of basic position on this?
Feminism is a very broad church, and there's a lot of internecine wars in it. So there are going to be quite a few people who think there's no such thing. It's not possible to have feminist porn because they think that just the whole concept is just completely exploitative. I disagree because I'm very pro-sex in my feminism. And I think as long as we can avoid exploitation, and that's the really hard part, as long as we can avoid exploitation, then it can only be a good thing, because surely bringing pleasure into people's lives is a very, very positive thing. And we know that it's really good for our mental health. We know it's really good for our physical health. And I think that it's something that we should embrace and that we should really champion. But I also agree with Sally that this is, why are we not seeing more in the mainstream as well? Maybe part of me is thinking, well, if we can corner the pornography market, maybe we can get a slice of that money. Maybe that's a good thing. But I agree as well. This is the representation of women in mainstream media is sorely missing. So, how can we make inroads there as well?
To continue watching this video, click the link in the top left or in the description below. Or visit iai.tv for more debates and talks from the world's leading thinkers on today's biggest ideas.